Daf Mem Zayin Amud Beis. We'll begin Daf Mem Zayin Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the bottom. Tana Rabban Maloi Kumsoi. The pasuk says that the kohen takes his full kaimetz, the full fistful of the mincha. Yachal Mevura. So you might think that it should be overflowing, that it should be even overflowing, and not only in his hands. Talmud Leimer Big Kumsoi. It's with his kaimetz, meaning that it has to be with his kaimetz and not overflowing. If it only says bekumsa, you might think that it doesn't even have to fill his fist, his hand. You might think that it's even if it's with his fingertips, that even with his fingertips that would be sufficient. That he just puts his finger into the flour, and he just closes his fingers and closes the tips on his fingers and just fills his fingers with it, and as opposed to his fist. So Talmud Leimar Meloi Kumsai. It's Meloi Kumsai. It means full. It has to be the full kaimetz. So how ketzad chayfa shalosh hatzboisav al pisas yorav kaimetz. So it is the way people scoop up something. It's in the manner where they scoop up something. Therefore, it means that he takes his 3 fingers, the 3 middle fingers, and he scoops it up and he closes it on his fist. So that's the full fistful. So that's in the kaimetz of the mincha. That's what he has. That's the procedure. Ubemachvas marcheshes, and the case of machvas marcheshes. So that is not flour. Those are baked. They're fried, and therefore they have the pieces. They're not. It's not flour. So he has to have a full kaimetz. It can't be overflowing, but it can't be deficient either. So meiche begudloi milmalu batzmoso atzbao katana milmata. So he smooths it out with the thumb on the up top part and the little finger on the bottom, and therefore he smooths it out so it's full but not overflowing. And this is the hardest avoid in the mikdash, to make sure that he can break it and break the pieces and make it smooth without having anything protrude or anything deficient. Practicing more of a zuhi v'suloi, zuhi v'suloi. This is the most difficult. There's nothing else that's in that category. Vayika malika. There's a malika which is also vayika chafina, which is chafina. These are also listed and considered to be difficult avoidance in the base of mikdash. Ella, the Gemara says, Zuhi may avoidance kasha shebe mikdash. It's not the singular hardest one. It is amongst the hardest ones in the base of mikdash. Amar Yechon by Rishu ben Uzo. We have the following shaila ben habeinaim shel malaikum samahu. When we're talking about the mincha, the full kaimetz, what about the part of it that is in between his fingers? So it's the amount of the mincha that's trapped between his fingers. Is that considered part of the kaimetz, or is that not part of the kaimetz? Is that considered that it's part of it, or is it considered to be outside the kaimetz and not part of the kaimetz? Amar Papa, that which is on the inside, you don't have a shiloh. So the way the Ritva learns it is that which is visible from the inside. It's not a shiloh. The varei kaimetzu, that is varei kaimetz. That's part of the inside. That's part of his fistful. That's part of the kaimetz. The baroi, like the boilach, that which is visible from the outside, also is not a shiloh. The varei shiraimu, that's not part of the kaimetz, and that's varei shiraim. Kiti boilach, what's your shiloh? The beni, that is between the fingers. It's not visible neither from the inside or from the outside. What's the halacha? Amar v'yechanan hadar pasha Rishu ben Uzoy. He was paishet ben habeinaim safek nino. It's a safek. He was paishet that it's a safek. So Taisus asks, what does that mean? We had a safek. That was our shaila. We had a safek as to where it is. So what does it mean? He's paishet. He resolved that it is a shaila. Taisus says, meaning that the pshat is that he resolved that min asvara we cannot resolve it. It is a safek. It's a safek that we're not able to resolve. We're not able to resolve it on a svara, on the basis of a svara. It's something that is a safek and it remains a safek. So therefore, there's no further inquiry about it, and it has a status of a safek. So for the Gemara, but Lamaisa, what do we do? We don't know if it's part of the kaimetz. We don't know if it's part of the shirayim. What do? Rabbi Chanina, he says, Makter kaimetz l'chudei tchila. First, he's makter the kaimetz, that which is inside, which is vadai kaimetz, he's makter it first. He burns on the mizbeach. V'hadar ben abinayim. And then, this, what's between the fingers, then he's makter the part that's between the fingers. The amrat ben abinayim bereisha, because if you say that you do that part first, dilma shirayim ninu. Maybe it really has a status of shirayim. Maybe it's not part of the kaimetz. V'havalu shirayim sh'chaser ben kmitz l'aktar. And therefore it will have a status of shirayim that were chaser ben kmitz l'aktar. That when, say, if you have shirayim, and after they're doing the kmitza, after the kohen does the kmitza, and the remnants, if something is missing from that remnant, if it's not completely intact, some of it is chaser, then if that's the case, then v'omar mar shirayim shechaser ben kmitza l'aktar ein maktir malemes hakaimetz. If there is something that's chaser over there, then the kaimetz, you can't be maktir aleihem, you can't be maktir to burn it for the sake of the shirayim, meaning the kaimetz that you burn will not be matir this shirayim lachila. So therefore, if you say that you're maktir the area, that which is the mincha, that which is between the fingers, you're maktir it first, well, maybe it's shirayim. Then when you come to be maktir the kaimetz, then it'll turn out that the shirayim are deficient. It's chos. And it'll turn out that your maktir, the kaimetz, it will not be matir that shirayim la'achila. And that's the way Tosfos learns it. And therefore, since the achila of the shirayim is a mitzvah, then you'll be missing that mitzvah. Then you won't be able to mekayim that mitzvah. So therefore, don't do it in that manner, because you won't be able to eat it. Tosfos explains further that that's only according to the shita of Rabbi Yochanan, that we say ein maktir alein as a kaimetz. But according to Reish Lakish, he holds in fact that if the shirayim are chaser, it's not only that it's not mater la'achila, it's not mater that you cannot be maktir the kaimetz if the shirayim are chaser, and the korban is possible. But here our sugya seems to be going according to Rabbi Yochanan. So I call upon him, you can't be maktir the mincha that's between the fingers first. So for the Gemara, well, if you're maktir the kaimetz, the part that's in the, clearly that's vadai kaimetz first, well, still you have a problem. Yihachi hashtanami. Then you still have a problem, and now also you have a problem, because how can you be maktir the mincha that's between the fingers afterwards? Ikri kan kol shemimenu l'ishim arei b'bal taktirim. If you have a mincha, for instance, where you have your maktir the kaimetz, the shirayim cannot be burnt on the mizbeach. Now, if the mincha that's between the fingers is shirayim, and if you're maktir the kaimetz, that shirayim cannot be burnt on the mizbeach. The Torah says, "Kol sor v'chol dvash lo yisaktiro mimenu isha lashem." That word mimenu is extra. So we darshan kol sor v'chol dvash lo yisaktiro. You can't burn on the mizbeach any chometz, any sor, any dvash, honey, sweet items. And we also darshan the second part, that lo saktiru mimenu isha lashem. We darshan is in two segments. Lo saktiru mimenu isha lashem. Once you're maktir the kaimetz, you cannot be maktir mimenu from the remainder. You cannot be maktir on the mizbeach. So if this mincha that's between the fingers has a din of shirayim, if you're maktir the kaimetz first, then how can you be maktir this on the mizbeach? Amar Rabbi Yehuda Risha ben Palzi, the maktir le'lishem eitzim. You burn it on the mizbeach, but you have in mind that it should be for firewood. That you say that if this portion of it is not part of the kaimetz, then the intent is that you're burning it l'shem eitzim for fuel of the mizbeach. If it is considered part of the kaimetz, you're burning it l'shem kaimetz. But if it's not, then you're burning it not l'shem kaimetz. You're burning it then l'shem the eitzim for firewood. So, like we see, Rabbi Eliezer says, Ki Rabbi Eliezer, Gasanya Rabbi Eliezer Aimer, he says, L'reach nichayach yatamal. You can't burn the shirayim l'reich nichayach. The pasuk says that you can't burn it, that lo yisaktir mimenu, you can't burn it, that for reach and nichayach. The pasuk says, "Korban reishis takriv oisam Hashem v'al mizbech lo yalo l'reich nichaya." So for a reich nichaya, for a korban, for an offering for a korban, you can't be malach. Avalat mal l'shemeitzim, but you can burn it. The shiroim could be burned l'shemeitzim for the purpose of fuel. That's fine if you hold like Rabbi Eliezer. According to Rabbanan, say no, that's not permitted. What are you going to say? What's the eitzah? Rav Mora, he says the kamsi shmeni. There is no eitzah. You have to use a coin that has fat fingers to make sure that nothing gets trapped between his fingers. That he has fat fingers so that it will be a covered, smooth area. Nothing will be trapped between the fingers, so this doesn't occur. Now, once you say that, Rabbi Eliezer Nami l'chadchila the kamsi shmeni, even though Rabbi Eliezer says that it could be done l'shem eitzim, but this is only b'diavad. L'chadchila, it should not be done that way, and therefore, even according to Rabbi Eliezer, the l'chadchila it should be done with a kohen who is shmeni. We don't have this situation. Boy, Rav Papa, I have the following shaila: Bein habinaim shal meloyach hofnav mao. What is the din of the bein habinaim with the meloyach hofnav of the on Yom Kippur, the kohen gadol who scoops up the ketairos? What is the din of that which is trapped between his hands? What is the din of that what is trapped between his fingers? So, do we say the same type of shaila? Do we say that's between the fingers as the same din as by the kaimetz or not? What's the shaila? If the shaila is, do we learn the gzera shava maloi maloi ketairos to chafina? Well, that's the shaila that we had before. That's the previous shaila that we had before. Do we apply the same din? Do we say maloi maloi? And do we say that you can't use a midah for the chafina, just like you can't use a midah for the kaimetz? So that's the same shaila. So why are we asking it again? Gemara says no. His shaila is as follows, meaning even if you rely on the gzera shava, even if there is no gzera shava, I would still have a shaila over here. The previous shaila is only based on if we would darshan a gzera shava, but here I have the shaila even if we don't. Why is that? Because do you say when it says the kohen that he brings has malay chofnav, it says malay chofnav vehevi, his hands full, his cupped hands full, and he brings it, therefore everything that's in his hands, as Mashem brings it to the Kodesh Kedoshim v'ha'ika, and this is between his hands. This is also considered to be between his hands. So, oy dilma, do we say no? V'lokach vehevi bina. It has to be v'lokach vehevi. He has to take it only what he intends to take, when he purposely takes. V'ha'aleka, what happens to fall between his fingers is not considered a lakicha, and therefore it's not part of the malay chayfna that's brought into the Kodesh Kodashim and take. He says it's partial to me that the mincha, the kaimetz, the way the kohen does it, is like people normally when they scoop up something. So they take it with their hands, they take with the sides of their hands, and they scoop up something. They scoop it up with the side of the hands, and then they close their hands on it. So that's partial that is kosher, that's the way it's done. But boy Rav Papa has the following shaila: Kamas b'roisha es b'oisa mahu. If he takes it with his fingertips, what's the din? If he grabs it, so to speak, puts his hand down and grabs it in that way, is that also kosher? So he points out that this is not the b'roisha es b'oisa that we discussed before, where we discussed before by the kaimetz, if he just takes it with his fingertips and closes his fingertips over his finger. That's not the shaila over here. That's the shaila we had before. That is that considered a kaimetz. Here, it's obvious we resolved before that that's not a kaimetz. It has to be in his fist. That's not the shaila over here, even though it uses the lashon rosh be'etz b'oisav, but it doesn't mean that it's only the flour is only in his fingers. It means is that that's the way he scoops it up into the palm of his hand. So that's a shaila. Milmata lemala mau. What about if he scoops it from bottom upwards? Meaning he put the back of his hand on the flour, and then he slid it through the flour and was able to lift it up to fill up his hand. He put it down and he slid it through and filling up his fist with it. So what's the din over there? What about if he scooped it up from the sides? Then the way Rashi explains it is that he put the back of his hand on the flour and he slid his hand into the flour and he pushed the back of his hand down, and then the flour came between his fingers. He put it down and the flour came between his fingers and he scooped it up that way. Teiku. As far as the the Kohen Gadol with the Keteris on Yom Kippur, when he has his hands full, it's the way the people scoop up things with their hands. Meaning they put the sides of their hands down into the Keteris, and they bring their hands together and bring it together to take the hands full. That's pasha. That's kosher. That's the way it's done. But boira papa chofen b'rosh v'esv'oisav mao. What about if he did it with the tips of his fingers? And the same type of manner that we said before. What if he does it by bringing it to his hands, by grabbing it with his fingers? Milmat halamala mao, from bottom to top, mao, minatzad mao, or minatzad, like we had the shaila before. Is that kosher over here as well? What if he did each hand in the normal way that it's done, but he did each hand separately and then brought it together? Is that kosher? Teku.